or something. Yes, good. Next Sunday is the first pre-preparational Sunday before the Great and Holy Lent, and it's called Sunday of Zaccheaus, and that's only in Slavic liturgical practice. This Sunday is not actually in the Greek Church's liturgical practice. When I say Greek Church, I mean all the rest of the patriarchates on the east. So that means Constantinople, Alexandria, Antioch, Jerusalem. They follow a slightly different schedule. For them, I think they're gonna read the Gospel of the Canaanite woman this coming Sunday. But then from Sunday after that, the whole Orthodox Church has exactly the same schedule. Then comes the Sunday of the Pharisee and the tax collector, then the Sunday of the prodigal son, and then the meat fair Sunday, cheese fair Sunday, and then Great and Holy Lent, which this year starts on the 18th of March because Easter is on the 5th of May, very late for us this year. Right. Next year is we're going to have Easter together with the Western churches as well.
So the St. Peter and Paul fast is going to be very short this year.
It's going to be very short. Yeah. You only think about food. You do whatever the church tells you to do. Wednesday and Fridays, we fast. Anyway. That's fine.
I'm saying it changes every year. Once it's 1 week, then 7 weeks, then 4 weeks. But this year it's short.
Maybe you can go to the Greeks. They won't have any fast this year at all because they're on the new calendar, and then St. Peter's and Paul's Day is 13 days earlier, so it's on the 29th of June, and it's not going to be no fast at all. How convenient! All right. Okay. I will. Do you have a camera there, Nick?
I could put it on if you want to.
Yeah, because they maybe they can see what is that?
I don't know. Can people see me?
Angle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it, Nick.
Am I in the meeting?
Now you're gone.
Yeah, I'll play that. Sorry.
Why?
I don't know. It's fine.
No, we're just wasting time, guys. That's fine. Just turn the laptop towards.
Yeah, but I think I've dropped out completely now.
Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my Zoom drops out sometimes.
Yeah, because your computer is crap.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the church is going to load everything.
Yeah.
Oh no! It was always you need to give to the church. You don't take from the church. What was I telling you all the time? You need to give and give and give.
But we're not quite. Can you let me in, fella?
I'm going to let you in again. I'm going to be merciful as God is merciful.
So Gregory, was that your name there yesterday, or you follow another name, Gregory?
Which can be myself. There we go.
That's it. All right. How many gadgets do we have here on this table? Stephen, you're on.
All right. Today's chapter Luke 19, 1 to 10. Zaccheaus, the tax collector or publican. I'll read it first and then I'll interpret what I believe it means. And Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zaccheaus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. And he sought to see Jesus, who he was, and could not for the press because he was little of stature. And he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said unto him, Zaccheaus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he is gone to be a guest with a man that is a sinner. And Zaccheaus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. And Jesus said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and save that which was lost. And that's the end of the parable. Now, it starts off, and Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now, Jericho, I'll show the map. I don't know if you can see Jericho's down there. And that's Israel, the kingdom of Israel, the dark blue. The light blue is the Mediterranean Sea, and Jericho's down there. Now, Jericho was a rich land. It was full of palms, perfume, and wine, and it was very wealthy. So he was passing through there. And behold, there was a man named Zaccheaus, which was a chief among the publicans, and he was rich. Now, he was considered the publicans, or in other Bibles it says tax collector, and he was the chief. He wasn't only normal publican, but he was the chief of publicans. So he was really the richest, the ringleader of all the publicans or all the tax collectors, which the publicans were considered the biggest sinners, or they ran the most sin. They had not only alcohol and stuff, but prostitution, gambling, all that was considered sin was to be found in the publican. The tax collector, on the other hand, a tax collector used to collect taxes from everyone. They used to take from the poor and the rich and steal and be rich. So he was one of the worst of the worst, or the most important of the tax collectors or publicans, right? And he sought to see Jesus, who he was, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. So, and he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. Now, a sycamore tree is one of the biggest trees, or if not the biggest tree you can find. They grow up to 30 meters high, and they're about 600 years old. They live to be 600 years old. Now, why did he could not see him? Now, he did not just climb this tree to see Jesus, but I believe he climbed this tree to be seen by Jesus. Like sometimes when you go to a concert, or you go to see your favorite music band or something very important, you want to get the best seats, not just to see them, but so they see you and you get a reaction off them. You know, when you see your favorite band playing and you look at them and they see you and you get a reaction off that, that's what this Zaccheaus wanted to do. He wanted to see who Jesus was when he seen him. Now, not only was it was shameful for men to climb trees. Even today, you don't see grown men climbing trees. But not only was he climbing a tree, he was also dressed in the best clothes, the best. So you can just imagine this really rich man dressed in the best clothes climbing up a tree. This really stood out. So not only could he see Jesus, but Jesus could see him. And when Jesus came, he looked up, and then it says, and when Jesus came to that place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zaccheaus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. Now, he looked up and he says, Zaccheaus, make haste. So Jesus knew this man. I believe he knew who he was, and he knew he was a big tax collector and was a sinner. But he said, make haste and come down, because he could see that this man's love for Jesus was more important than being shamed for climbing trees or anything. He really wanted to see Jesus. And he said, for today I must abide in your house. make haste. He said, so make haste means quickly, without thinking, do it right away, you know, come down. And usually when you do something in haste, you don't think about it, you do it immediately. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. So not only did he do it quickly, he also done it joyfully. He received him joyfully into his house. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be a guest with a man that is a sinner. So the rest of the public, they were shocked that he agreed to or asked to go to this man's house. And he's gone to be a guest with a man that is a sinner. Not only he's a big sinner, you know, like the publicans really run all the sin in the town and the tax collectors and that. And Zaccheaus' reply, and Zaccheaus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. So Zaccheaus gave half his goods to the poor, and if he ripped anyone off or done anything by false accusation, he will restore him fourfold. In other words, he didn't deliberately do it, didn't deliberately rip anyone off or do anything bad, but if he did, he will restore it fourfold. So that means he'll pay for anything he done wrong. And he gives half his goods to the poor. So you could just imagine if all your taxes, half of it went to the poor, and if the tax man ripped you off anything, he'd give you back 4 times as much as he ripped you off. This is an example of how to do business for the really rich businessmen, not a normal businessman, you know, the average businessman that's got a coffee shop or whatever, but like Bill Gates or Elon Musk or someone like that. They were to give half their goods to the poor and not rip anyone off. If they did, they'd give them back fourfold. Now, I don't know. I know a lot of rich men and that they do give to the poor, like maybe not half, but they do. Even Elon Musk, he explores space or whatever. That's interest and intrigue for people to look at. They spend their money on something anyway to give to the poor. Anyway, and Jesus said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. So he said, salvation has come to this house because he gives half to the poor, and if he done anything wrong, he pays back 4 times the amount. Now he's a son of Abraham. That doesn't mean he's a direct descendant of Abraham, but that means he's a spiritual, in this case, he's a spiritual descendant of Abraham. He has faith in God. And all those that have faith in God and belief in God, they're called the sons of Abraham. They're the spiritual sons of Abraham. And then it finishes by saying, For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. So in other words, Jesus come down to seek what was lost, to look for that which was damned or what was bad or whatever, and save that which was lost. So maybe that's why Jesus come to Jerusalem, because they were maybe not the chosen people, but they were the most lost. They loved God, but they were lost in their beliefs and in their traditions and the things they'd done. So he come to save them which was lost. Like he never come to North America or Australia or those people. There were no rich people there. Everyone was the same, you know, like the Aboriginals, everyone, there's no such thing as rich or poor, or in the Indians or the Africans, tribes or anything. But here where they had the capitalist system, that there were a lot of people lost in money, or the love of money is the root of all evil. So this is an example of how a rich man can be saved, even though it is harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle. Rich man can be saved too. Not everyone not all rich men are devils, you know, not all rich men rip people off. There are examples of some good men, and this is an example of a good rich man that's also a sinner, he's a publican. So he's got a lot of sin, but he gives half to his poor and he doesn't rip anyone off. You know, he doesn't rip anyone off. If he does, he'll give them back 4 times as much. And that's basically how if the world worked like that, we'd be in heaven and we'd all be saved. Like if all your half your taxes went to the poor, and if you got ripped off paying taxes, they'll pay you back 4 times as much. So any business like Bunnings says we guarantee the lowest prices, or we'll give you 10% back. You know, they'll give you something if they accuse the wrong thing, they'll give you something back. So if you could be guaranteed of that, of the mechanic or whatever, that they're not going to rip you off. If they rip you off, they'll pay you back 4 times as much. You'll be happy to go to that mechanic, you know, and you'll be happy to go to any businessman that will pay you back, restore you fourfold of anything that they got off you by false accusation. So this is a parable.
Well, I just hope we come to that stage in our lives where we can actually do like that.
That's the aim of the.
It's the whole spiritual life is actually is in that encounter of Zaccheaus and Jesus.
Yeah, and this sycamore tree.
Sycamore tree.
Sycamore tree.
With a fig tree. That's a fig tree.
It's a fig tree, yeah. It bears a fruit like a fig. And and it's got like maple leaves on it. Like that's what I've seen on the internet anyway. But
probably Nick has found what the meaning in that also Bible study, the meaning of fig tree.
No, it talks something else about the tree. It's based on Theophilus translation actually. And he says that it talks about parables. So the parable of him climbing the tree is sometimes we need to. It's as if he left the ground. In other words, you need to leave your earthly possessions and your earthly passions to be able to see Jesus, because as he's small in stature, which means he was small in faith. So for him to climb the tree to see Jesus means for us to climb the tree, we have to drop our worldly passions to be able to climb higher than what we are now to be able to see Jesus. And that's how he.
Yeah. But the other thing is you need to. But the thing is, it's important that it's fig tree, and if you were from the Mediterranean coast, figs we only use now. We eat figs, but only that's why you have figs and pigs. Only pigs were eating figs. All right, people used to feed their pigs with figs, and in Judaism, pigs is the unclean animal, and you're not allowed to eat pork. And so, because there were many pigs under the fig tree, waiting for the figs to drop, and they would eat it and whatnot. Him climbing on that fig tree means that he has climbed on that tree of shame. So in other words, that this is really fantastic explanation where you gotta be prepared to be to expose yourself and be prepared to be not ashamed, but to be put on shame, tree of shame, where you are not ashamed. That's right, to fight your ego. So you're not now ashamed, and you're not ashamed that whatever you've done, I've done. This is who I am. Now I'm exposed. Now I'm up there. Do whatever you like with me. And so it's not just it's not like it's just a message for Jesus who's passing by, but also for the passers-by, for the whole people, because it was so crowded. So everyone could see him. I mean, this is why this encounter of Zaccheaus and Jesus was written down and remembered, because there were so many people who said, oh my God, look at this Zaccheaus, the chief tax collector, the richest man in town. I mean, you can expect kids to climb up the tree, 10-year-old boy or something like that, but someone in an Armani suit, like me, he's probably middle-aged man, so maybe he's 40s, 50s, whatever. So he's well well off, I guess, rich man, and he climbs up the tree like a little kid. Really? What's this? I mean, I think this is, we need to understand why people remember this event, why Luke wrote this as one of the things that was, and it stayed alive. This story stayed alive among the people who were there present. And that's one of the very important things. And every detail is there also important. Like he's passing through Jericho. Please remember Jericho and the meaning of Jericho. Remember in the Old Testament, before the promised people before the chosen people of God enter into the promised land, they have to go through the final barrier, which is Jericho. And they couldn't conquer Jericho, and then they walked around, the trumpets and the walls of Jericho fall, and they go into the promised land.
Yeah.
So Jericho is symbol of sin. Jericho is symbol of dysfunction. And that means, I mean, this is how we need to relate. I'm in Jericho, you're in Jericho. All of us who are fighting our own sin, our own sinfulness, dysfunctionality, even though we are so low, even though we are in our dysfunctionality, Jesus gives us an opportunity. So he walks, he doesn't go around. This is really important. I just want to say, Jesus entered and passed through Jericho, through the center of our dysfunctionality, through the sin. He's entering into our sin, into our sinfulness. But this is really great. He's going. This verse is fantastic. Jesus entered and passed through, which means he's not imposing anything. He's just giving us an opportunity. He will say later, whosoever wants to follow me, let him deny himself. But he says, whosoever wants to, which is, it's a choice. If you want to, whosoever wants to, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. So he gives us a chance where we are in our sinfulness, in our dysfunctionality.
And I think in that time, Jericho was known to be like an area where there would be heaps of tax collectors or heaps of sinners, in saying that.
It was a really rich land.
By
I
the
think
symbol, like what Father said, a symbol.
But mind you,
Jesus will approach.
tax collectors are not heathens, are not pagans.
No.
Tax collectors are Jews. So they are like traitors of their own people. Okay, so mind you, Israel was occupied by Rome at that time, and Roman government has given employment or job to local Jewish people to collect the tax for Rome. And so these people who have said yes to the occupying government, now they're working for the occupier, taking the tax from their own people, and on top of that, they're getting richer and richer and richer. So the most despised people in the time of Jesus were tax collectors. Now, this
people off too all the time.
Sorry?
And they would be ripping people off all the time.
Yeah,
so
that
he wants to make that point clear that he never ripped anybody off. And
he didn't say that. He says, and if I did it.
Yeah, and if I did,
If
I'll
I
pay
did
back.
it.
So
Yeah,
did the tax collectors work for the government like today?
Yeah, they work
Yeah,
for the government.
Yeah, that's
But it's not their government, mind you. Israel is not a free country. It's occupied by Rome. So the thing is, they're working for the occupiers. So they're betraying their own people. They're working for the occupiers. Now, he is not just any tax collector. Every word is very important. Luke is fantastic. Luke is like a Picasso. So look at this. This is just 10 verses. So in just few points of the brush, he paints a beautiful picture for us. So he's a chief tax collector, which means that he is he's in that business of ripping people off, because he's ripping people off then, of stealing the money. That's right, because what the tax collector do? Even now, if you go to the Balkans, if you're passing through the border of Serbia and Croatia, Serbia and Bosnia, and some Macedonia and whatnot, if you have some illegal goods, just give 50 euros to the tax person there at the border, and you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay? You're fine. And he expects that. you take your passport, put the 50 euros in it, close the passport, and he says, "See you later. Thank you very much. You're good to go." All right.
My money, get one that's
That's it. No, I didn't say to do that. I'd say, yeah.
Stop me.
I'll tell you a quick funny thing. You know, when we went last to Macedonia, my father had this priest, but he's not a priest no more. And my dad needed to convert his license, and it can take for weeks. And it was a weekend. He has given it to me. He went to the license registry. He has paid me a few, $50, whatever, and it was done after that. Illegally, and the priest done it. He knows the ins and outs as well.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, people were, and you can imagine tax collectors, so everyone has to pay tax. So, and they would take it for themselves.
Yeah.
So they were getting richer and richer on the account of their own people. So that's why the people hated them. That's why they were the most despised population in Israel of all the Jewish people.
Well, apparently he becomes, that's what it says, he becomes a bishop of the church.
Oh, right.
Is there icon of him?
Zaccheaus.
No.
No. But my point is, I mean, because we meet all sorts of people in our lives, and you meet all sorts of people in your daily lives and your work and so on. No matter how sinful someone is, and you can see some people around you that they're on the wrong path, or I'm on the wrong path, or you're not to judge anyone. You see, Christ gives an opportunity to everyone. Like he gives opportunity to this Zaccheaus. Now, and also this Zaccheaus, the initiative comes not from Zaccheaus, but from Jesus. Mind you, so in the whole Bible, it's not like, okay, you're on the quest for God. I'm searching God and so on. No. The most interesting thing is God is looking for us. God is searching for us. So he passes through Jericho. And even though this is the most sinful man in Jericho, he hears that Jesus is there, and something is bugging him. He wants to see him. I mean, you know how many people, even atheists from this global new atheist movement, they're curious to know who is Jesus. Who is Jesus? They're reading the Bible. They want to find out who's Jesus. Who is this Jesus? And they would listen to sermons on the radio, podcasts, and so on, secretly, so no one knows. But they are curious. They want to find out who's Jesus. They're listening to these religious and Christian and church podcasts and sermons and whatnot, and homilies, and reading it because they want to know who is this Jesus. And this is such a great, deep spiritual truth. And it's also painted in just few points of the brush. He climbs up that tree. So he makes the move. He shows this interest in Jesus. And this is so important. Whenever you show the least interest in Christ, whenever you show the least interest in God, God reacts straight away. That's the only thing he's asking. If you show some interest in God, he's gonna notice that straight away. This is the only thing so Jesus notices that and knows him by his name, and calls him immediately. Not, we tend to postpone our religious life. We tend to say, I'm gonna go to church when I finish school. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to start going to church when I finish my work. I'm going to start going to church when I raise up my kids. I'm going to start going to church when I blah, blah. We keep postponing and postponing and postponing. However, when Christ calls, you see here everywhere in the Bible, and this is a perfect example. He says, now, no postponing, no waiting. Oh, I'm going to go, tomorrow, when I do this, after work, when I finish my uni, career, work, kids, and you die. All right? And God is giving you this opportunity. He's calling you. No, absolutely. He's calling you. And so we need to do that straight away. And the most beautiful thing here is Zacchaeus responded. He came down from that tree of shame straight away. And then this is beautiful how change happens. Once you meet Jesus, once you get in contact with Christ, your whole life is transformed. He's not the same person anymore. He's totally changed. Christ has entered into his life, and he's not now a new person. He's now a new Zacchaeus. So, yes, he was sinful. Yes, he was the worst tax collector. He was filthy rich and so on. But now with Christ, you can see the fruits of his encounter with Jesus, his contact with Jesus, what happens. So this is what we're called to in our own life. So he says, half of my possession I'm going to give to the poor. This is, well, come on. And if I have offended anyone, I will pay 4 times the amount. And this is just absolutely magnificent. So, yeah, my mouth is dry. I have to have some water. Anyone else?
Want a soft drink or something?
Sorry?
Does anyone want a soft drink or something?
No, I just want some water, please.
Water.
Yes, please.
Anyone want some water?
What kind of drinks is it?
I'm not buying.
No,
I don't drink
no,
alcohol.
No. Can you, Giovanni, below that, underneath
I can't
there,
drink
on
beer anyway.
my side, underneath
can't
you
handle
open
the
that,
heat.
there is
I can't handle it.
there is
I like
water.
vodka with Red
There
Bull.
is water, and I would like that water, please,
What do you
because it's
drink?
not refrigerated.
Oh, you got eggs for us. Yeah, no,
You
can
do?
eat now.
Oh, right. No, it's not fasting.
Food's on the mind.
Thank you very much.
Next Tuesday, I have hamburgers.
KFC, everything.
Yeah.
That's a bucket. No,
Oh, no, thank you. I'm good.
No, I'm full. I had so much to eat.
He
I
was
was just telling Nick.
What? Yeah, what else?
Okay, guys, do you have any comments or any
you making, Chris?
I did. I made the myself.
questions?
Yeah, all right.
Or you're gonna help yourself? Christine brought us some cakes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Stephen, do you want some drink?
No, thanks.
There you go. Christine is sharing straight away, like Zacchaeus, giving and giving and giving. In our own lives, the more you give, the more you're gonna get. Are you hot or is it just me?
But you look out there. But it's a drink with water.
How many weeks have we got left now? How many weeks have we got left? 1, 2.
I have a question.
Yes, Dushanka.
I'll just put the video on.
Okay.
Okay, so I understand the passage, but how do we implement this in our own lives? Do we just pray to, for God to come into our lives and show us our sins, or how does this look in?
I know how it doesn't look. It's not like you just pray, okay? Because that's like this Protestant, Western Australian American way. When someone dies or something bad happens, and you say, "Oh, thoughts and prayers."
Thoughts and prayers.
No.
Okay.
No, you're Serbian, and
Yes.
when someone is in trouble and so on.
Yeah.
You know what? My neighbor, she makes a pita or a bread and she comes and she sits there with that person who's in trouble and makes some lunch and you do something. The Orthodox way is you're a doer. You need to do something. It's not just thoughts and prayers. Okay, yes, we need. Okay, but what's the consequence of these thoughts and prayers? We have to become doers. So you have to open your, 4 eyes and your ears and look, what's happening around you, your friends, acquaintances. Does someone need anything? I always remember how beautiful the in the book of Job. And if you haven't read the book of Job, read the book of Job. And when he goes through this terrible experience of losing everything, his children, his wealth, his possessions, and all of that, he's got 3 friends that come there to comfort him. Mind you, very important thing is they sit with him for 7 days, not speaking a word. I think this is so important what we've lost today. Sometimes we think that we are there to be with my. I'm going to see my friend, and I'm going to teach him, and I'm going to show him. No, you're not a professional. You're not a therapist or I don't know, professional friend, and to shut up. All right. And if your friend needs something, he's gonna ask. She's gonna ask. You know, you're not there to give advices to. And this is what the Serbs are really bad at. We always keep giving advices. You got to do it like this. You got to do it like that. Shut up. All right. Just sit there and be there with that person who needs you. You know, have a coffee, chit chat, whatever. Be there for this person. Nothing else is required. Nothing else. Because you're not a professional. In most cases, none of us is a professional, you know. So, you know, you can't give a professional advice, whatever the problem is, whether it's a medical problem or just some, you know, going through bad time or whatnot. So that's what it is. You be a doer and you find a way how to do it. I don't know. I really don't know. There is so many specific situations and people that you're surrounded with. So I don't know.
One thing I can get from it is don't judge a patient or by their wealth. You know,
Absolutely. And I think we in Australia, that's why I love Australia. Because you don't have these people that are so much. So I mean, you have it, but they're not. You know that you can't see them that often. You know, you can see wealthy people who just wear not normal, regular clothes. You know, to stick out, and they might own millions and millions, but they don't care. You know, and I like that when people are kind of modest and humble in that way.
No, the thing is like, say not to try to fix people, but lead by example instead. So don't try to fix people's problems by just, like you said, like by trying to fix them, but by leading by example, them seeing how you are, and then looking up to you in a way of your actions, on how you take and do things in life, and yeah.
Leading by example. What do you mean leading by example?
Like the actions you take and the decisions you make, and say the beliefs you follow, instead of trying to fix people's problems, just be your genuine self around them.
That's
and that
right.
rubs off on other people as well.
That always, if you try to be authentic, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate that expression, be yourself. I'm sorry. Because who else am I going to be? I mean, really?
Oh, that's the thing, is like,
That's right.
I want to be everybody. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but this is great because, I mean, I think we should actually judge ourselves first. I mean, not judge, because we ask God to forgive us our trespasses and we forgive those who trespass against us. So we also need to forgive ourselves. It's not just to forgive others. We need to forgive us as well, ourselves as well. But you see, especially now, you know, I've got, you know, my daughter is in year 11 now, and I remember 2 years ago when she said, oh, she got some mates at school, and, you know, they identify as a dog or as a cat at school, and they would meow or bark in school, this and that. And yeah, that's right. And that's right. But so what does it mean to identify oneself? So to identify means to be the same as. And so we need to take the mirror. Yeah, we need to take the mirror and to look at ourselves first. Okay, you identify as a Christian, I identify as a Christian, which means I am Christ-like. If it means I identify as a Christian, it means I think, speak, do as Christ would do. That's what Christian means, because I identify myself as a Christian. Do I though? Do I though? Really? Do I really do that on regular basis? Am I not a sinner because I fail to do that?
I'm thinking a lot of people would say in our society, I'm Christian because I believe in Jesus and
No, identifying as a Christian is actually as a Christ, because Christ is our goal. We don't, our role model. We don't look up to, these sports stars and these idols of, music or sport or this and that, or actors and so on. Our idol, if it's not the proper word, but role model kind of, we look up to Christ, because we need to do the same as Christ was doing. And so, but we fail. So that's why what Stephen says, this story tells us not to judge others, because we as Christians, especially people who don't go to church regularly, I mean, shut up. You first. You think you're a Christian. I haven't seen you at the church. Now you dare to judge someone who identifies as a cat. All right. At least try to live a Christian life, and then maybe you would have some sort of a right to judge others. Is this me? Okay. I got to go because I got to pick this up. I'll leave you for 10 minutes.
Hello.
I have a question.
But anyway, in friendship, I'll say something.
Yes, right.
In friendship, we're supposed to help each other. If we're on the wrong road, you're supposed, in a loving way, you'll say, Goran, maybe we should not take them steps. Your family can suffer this and that. We can. That's what we're supposed to help you. Because in life, hey, no.
If we're on the wrong, yes.
But I'm saying, I'm trying to say, we judge everything in life. We judge our friends. I'll judge you based on your actions. Are we, chemistry, do you have similar morals? I'm judging. I'm saying it's still part of judging. Going to work, the employer has to choose the job, has to judge who is the right candidate. I'm saying
the word judge has got
yes, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of meaning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not just
Discern. We need to not judge, discern. No?
well, I was going to bring up before, Father.
But what
I
about
wanted to ask is, what about calling out, like what God was saying, calling out other people's sin?
Yeah, or even if someone's got a different understanding and they're trying to explain and get me to understand, but I understand, but I don't agree. I'm not going to. I'm still going to say no, I don't agree, or I think this. Like, not just sit back.
But also, where is it written in the Bible about like bad fruits and needing to prune? Like, so if someone's not serving you in your life, they're sort of in confliction with God, or you're feeling like they're not bringing you peace.
Well, sometimes you have to cut these people out of your life.
Yeah.
Hey,
Is that okay?
Well, yeah, but the meaning of the word judge, because in the Bible it says, don't judge people, but it also tells you, well,
Like,
how you
don't
don't follow false prophets. Well, how you don't follow this person. When they say follow false prophets, I'm looking at God, but I don't mean God, but he's teaching us something. And then we're going to, I can't judge him. I have to believe everything he says. No, I have to think for myself.
Judge will think that he's.
But
it is judging. And it's
but
there are two types of judging. There's judging as in, I can shame Goran in front of everybody and say, Goran does this, and I'm judging him in a bad way. Or I can pull Goran aside, okay, brother, listen, I've seen you do this, I've seen you do that, you shouldn't do stuff like that.
Even the saints, hey, even
it's embarrassing to make myself look good, well then that's
I have found many saints who say, you'll be judged for not speaking out.
Yeah, that's what I think.
See? And he says as well, he goes, it's better to hurt man's feelings instead of hurting God's feelings. But we tend to say, I'm going to do this man's will and I'll go against God. That's what I'm saying. The Bible, there's some words people take the context. Everybody says.
The bad judgment is like disregarding a person.
But
Because everybody's taking advantage of that Bible verse. Well, who are you to judge me? You know,
disregard.
I'm going to hit Stephen. And you say, hey, God, that's not very nice of you. Who are you to judge me? Do you get what I mean? How we can abuse that quote.
So say they do a certain job and you're just going to disregard them because they're in that job, like the taxpayer.
Mm.
I believe everyone will,
In that sense.
Yeah.
I believe everyone will judge themselves. Once you know everything, you will judge yourself, and you know you don't want to do that. It's probably worse
to
than
have a sense of
When's this?
discernment where we can
From,
sit back
is it from a Bible? Is it
think about what
history?
we're doing and knowing, hey, listen.
That's from
I
Google.
Okay.
off.
But sometimes we
So
don't.
Jerusalem wasn't part of
Sometimes
Israel.
I might be doing something wrong, and this is
Because it
where I
says
agree.
King of Israel.
And this, I was going to use Greg.
That's
Greg,
the kingdom of
Greg,
Israel.
So what's this? What here?
Come up to me.
Is there
and say,
something
hey,
different?
no,
Here it was
this is-
Jerusalem.
this is-
Yeah, that's the first time.
Because I know he's coming from a brother angle. He's coming from an angle.
So they were not part of Israel back then?
It's not.
Judaism and all that?
Embarrass me in front of others.
Jerusalem wasn't not part of Israel?
Always to your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was? Because it's got blue here.
Yeah, open
You know what I mean? I should
positive
I should
of
do it
Judea,
now.
of Judea.
But that was a different kind of nation.
No. There were 12
Ah,
tribes,
okay.
Each other as well.
Yeah.
That's not good either. I don't think anyway.
but then eventually just two remain, Israel and Judea.
For example, just the friend and the speaking in tongues thing, and that, no, but you felt.
Because
it
what
wasn't
century is that?
I
This
felt
was probably
bad.
at the
Yeah.
time of Christ.
Yeah, that's at the time of Christ.
Yeah. Like she's
Yeah.
your sister, so you know, you
Yeah.
felt sort of a.
No, but was I mean? Or was
Yeah, no, you weren't. I had a lady
Talking
come
about
up
what
to
I
me on the weekend, and she told me, she goes, God has spoken to me and has told me that you're this and that, and said to my wife that God's telling me that you've got back problems. Now, this isn't true. And I said, she goes, can I pray on you? And my wife goes, no way. Right? And I said to God, look, thank you. Yes, we are Christians. And I was leaving where that.
Yeah.
And he said, because I love the Lord Jesus Christ,
But no, yeah.
but I don't believe God's going to
God
tell you.
spoke.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I love you, I wish you all the best, but thank you very much. And I walked away from her.
What was that again?
Shut her down.
I missed out.
Shut her down with love.
People, yeah, you went-
Now,
yeah.
if she wants to hate me for it, well, then hate me, you know what I mean? But
What was it again? I missed it.
this lady, God spoke to her and told her about my wife's back.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
Father, can you shed some light on that? Because I've had I actually had a client that's been bothering her. She's like, you know, I have a friend and she's always like, God spoke to me and said this and that. And it's
The
like,
charismatic.
The most, okay,
That's what
okay, all right. So I'm going to share my wife's experience. My wife is a social worker and she works at a rehab center, and she knows the statistics. The majority of people who got mental health problems, when they think they're someone else, you'd be surprised. Most of them think that they're Jesus.
Yeah.
The vast majority of these mental people with mental problems, mental health problems, they think
Delusion.
they're delusional and they think that they're Jesus, they're Christ, they're God themselves, himself. And so that it's either people have some mental health issues, or you just don't believe it. I mean, come on, really. We know from the experience of the church that even if if an angel comes and speaks to, monastics who have spent their entire 50, 60-year lifetime in monastic cells and praying, and they have acquired such spiritual height in their own lives, and they have a vision, and they will say no. They would say always no to the vision. They'll say no, because the devil can have the form of an angel and speak to them, and they will say no. That's why Apostle Paul says, even if an angel speaks to you a different gospel that I have preached you, that this is in the New Testament. Even if an angel, we talked about that last week, even if an angel preaches to you a different gospel, which means if the devil comes and starts speaking something else in the form of an angel, don't believe. Don't believe. So we're not to believe these visions. Never. I had a friend, I went to Mount Athos, which is a monastic republic in Greece, And I went with him, and he had an issue with, he constantly had the same dream for, I don't know, 2-3 years. He goes to bed, and whenever he dreams God, and God is reaching out to him and saying and doing, but this doesn't really matter now what. And we came to St. Gregory's monastery on Mount Athos, and they have beautifully arranged it. It's a Greek monastery, but they have a spiritual confessor, father, one who speaks Greek. Well, most of them speak Greek, it's a Greek one, but one who speaks Russian, one who speaks Bulgarian, one who speaks Serbian, one who speaks English, French, German. So whoever of the visitors comes, you can go and have confession in your own language, I guess. And so he went to this Father Luca, who was a Greek guy, but he was a doctor from Athens, but he was studying in Belgrade and was a doctor in Belgrade. He was speaking Serbian, in other words. And he told him that, and Father Luca told him this: don't pay attention to the dreams. He says 99. Is it also? I think this is what he says. From my memory, if my memory serves me correctly, he says 98% of things we dream comes from us. What we've experienced in life, our trauma, or in this, or what we've been in throughout the day and whatnot. He says 1% comes from God, 1% comes from the devil. And we are not at that spiritual level to discern what is from devil, what is from God. And he says, if it's the will of God, it's going to happen. So that don't pay attention, just make a sign of a cross and go. So, but also in this time, and this age, I guess, where people have become so secularistic, they have now come to that point where everything is science. Everything is science. Everything is scientifically explicable. And if something cannot be explained by science, it's not real, it's rubbish, and so on. And so I like the fact people start actually paying attention to dreams in a way, to be honest, because they kind of can feel that there is something more to life than just this material level, this materialistic level. So if that leads to this higher ground, to spiritual level, it's okay. But if it doesn't, if you just remain on that low spiritual level where you just interpret the dreams, no, that's rubbish. I'm sorry, but that's that. So it can be like a starting point where you start thinking and considering: is there a God? Is there something higher, and so on? But then you need to keep up and climb that spiritual ladder, not to, because there is no straight line in life. You either climb up the ladder or you start falling in your life. There is no straight line in life. So pull yourself together and climb up the ladder. I think that would be the best advice. Be a doer and use every opportunity like this tonight or whatever, whomever you meet and see, whatever you hear. You know, this is what it is. This is the point. The point of tonight, or whenever we meet together in this church context, it's like a bell that's ringing. It's a wake-up call. You know, be a doer. You know, change. What can I change in my life tomorrow, tonight? Let's do that. Let me do that. Roll up your sleeves and do it. What needs to be done? Don't wait. Don't postpone it. Zaccheaus, remember today's words. Zaccheaus, come down quickly, for today I must be at your house. You do. Christ is calling you.
What about the dreams where we dream and it becomes reality? Exactly how you dream it, and it becomes reality like 2 days, 3 days later. Is that a lot of dreams that I dream and became exactly what I'm dreaming happened?
Dreams coming true.
Father Cosmos used to say, yes, I pray not to get any visions.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's
because it's easier. I am not, he used to say, and this was a monk, he goes, I am not holy enough now. If he's not holy enough, I'm definitely not holy enough.
You know,
You see Visions from God. So if I receive some vision or some dream or something, I disregard it.
See, in Serbia, I mean, I've watched a lot of videos. This lady,
Best way.
she's religious. I had a dream of from a saint that the moshni, where the bones are at that monastery, and she went talk to the Vladik. How do you call the Vladika?
Yeah.
Bishop.
Bishop,
Yeah.
and the bishop says the church is against this. She went home. She had another vision. Came back to him. Then eventually, power told her whatever she said. They found the bones of the saints, and the bishop said, "See, I had pride in my heart. I thought I'm a bishop. God speak to me, not to this lady who's a a family woman."
Also, we have visions, and the devil knows the truth too. So something will happen and reveal something to you, and see, it's true. It must be from God. No. Maybe it's from the devil.
No, I'm saying
it will force you to fall away from God, because now your ego starts, I get visions. Oh no. Oh, no. Like, I'll work it out, because you get too much in your own head.
I struggled with this with a friend that I spoke with this week, and she said, but discernment, I've got discernment, I can discern. And I was like,
No, no.
What does that mean?
She started speaking in tongues, okay? And she says, no, but I know it's like good, it's coming from good, whatever. And I said, but what is it giving? Because she did it without my knowledge when she was with me. So she was saying, I was going to pray for you. Not that we're going to pray together. And then she just closed her eyes, and I'm like, open my eyes, I'm going, she was doing it. And she admitted when I talked to her this week that that's what she was doing. And I said, how is that helping me? I said, do you even understand what you're saying, what those words are that you're saying? She goes, no, I don't understand what they are. I said, how is that even praying to God? But she was saying that it's a way of, but when she gets that, it's like she's praising God. And my problem is, and I said to Christine, I struggle into how to articulate what I think in that moment to come across. And I thought I was being harsh in how I spoke with her.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be rude. Well, you don't need to be rude. You just say, no, thank you, this is not from God.
No, and I would have said, yeah. And I explained that to her. I would have said, no, that's not for me. And I said, while you were doing that, so I just opened my eyes and I was like, yeah, and I didn't take any of that on, because
that is not from God. That is
a dear friend.
She loves God, like she does. She loves Jesus Christ, and she's really on this journey to sort of,
No. She thinks, from my understanding, from what you just said, because she has this discernment and she knows it's good, it means that she thinks that she's better than others because she's now special, has this, and this is the problem of the Protestant churches and the Protestant West.
I call it charismatic Catholic now. I don't know what that is.
That is, this is something called this sin is called the sin of self-righteousness. Okay. This is a self-righteousness sin.
It's not helping anyone. It's not helping someone outside. She says
it doesn't have to be visibly helpful straight away. Okay, so we're not a charity. The church is not just a charity institution that goes and feeds the hungry and so on. Feeding the hungry and helping the needy and so on. That's a consequence of as we have seen here. Zaccheaus didn't start with giving half of his possession and returning 4 times the amount if he offended someone. That's a consequence of his experience with Christ. Okay, so don't put like the first thing in our Christian life is going and feeding the hungry, helping the needy. Our first goal is to open our hearts so Christ can enter. Once Christ enters, then the consequence is give from the heart. Share from the heart. So he will transform you, and then the point of our life is to come to the point where Apostle Paul was when he said, it is not I who live anymore, but Christ who lives in me. So we need to come to that point where we think and speak and act, and when we do so, at that moment we ask ourselves, was this me doing or was this Christ doing? But if you come to that point where you say, oh, God is working through me, and I know I'm on the right way, you're praising yourself, you are like an actor on a stage, and what do you expect? What do actors on stage expect? They expect an applause. And what do you need now? So now you praise yourself. Good on you, mate. Yeah, you're in a good way. You know, what else? So, but we know that Jesus said totally the opposite. He says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. We don't expect reward here. If we just show off like we're good and we're great, we're fine, we're fabulous, we're, and go and brag around and praise ourselves, we're going to get the reward. We're just actors then. And we're going to get the reward that actors usually do, which is applause, and you're done, get off your stage and continue with your miserable life. Yeah, I mean, that's, actors and artists have a miserable life. Yeah, just that.
They drive Ferraris.
I know. No, I was in acting, so I know that. I mean, as a teenager, I loved theater and that kind of thing. So, and I've met quite a few artists and actors, and it's a miserable life. They drink all the time.
No holy monk, no holy saint that will ever sit there that truly had discernment, that truly had visions from God, would sit there and have to prove to me, prove to you that he has that discernment. You know what I mean?
I should even say that.
If any saint in the history of the church that truly got visions wouldn't sit there and have to prove to someone that I'll get these visions. Trust me, they're from God. Trust me. No.
Questioning, how can you?
Yeah, well,
how do you know?
The moment you say no, I do, or is the moment when you don't.
The gift should be kept a secret.
Someone be so
It'll be humble because God will humble.
So how did the story?
You asked, how can you be so sure?
I said, how do you know where that's coming from? I said, I'm just concerned for you. How do you know? It's ridiculous. Whatever you're coming and speaking, you don't even know what you're speaking. It's not like it's, if you're sitting and doing that for me to help me, it's not helping me in any way. And then, saying that saw these visions of owls. And I said, last thing about owls. What does that mean? Or, she'll go and Google stuff and other stuff will come. I'm concerned for her because I love her.
So what about?
And I just, and
Nick,
I can't, it's hard to talk. Yeah.
Nick, how you brought it up. So how come all these books, set off him? His Mother Mary always visit him. So how did he tell the story? He had to tell us so we knew
stories of them, of the saints.
So how did I know he had visions of Mother Mary?
See, in their life, you read the books and he explains it.
Wouldn't he tell his experience so others can?
Would, I guess. Some would, some have that discernment that some can, some can't. Because I think we just need to be smart about that. Not get too carried away with what we think. We all have dreams. We all have thoughts. I've had dreams. I've had thoughts. I thought I've dreamt about something that's come true, and maybe that's an enlightenment from God. And then I stop and I think, you know what? Maybe it is. It doesn't matter. Do my cross, like Father said, and say, God, if it's your will, let it be. And that's it. Because I don't know. I don't think I'm worthy enough.
Can I ask something that's a little bit off topic, but similar conversation?
Yes.
So when my grandfather passed away roughly about 10 years ago, obviously we had the funeral and so forth, and then after the funeral, the tradition is, the hearse drives through the house and or close to the house, and they pour water around the hearse and so forth. And when I looked up on the roof, and the whole family noticed, so there was a bird, stork or roda, as you say in Serbian, on top of the roof. Now, tradition says that that's the bird of life and death, so to speak. Now, my question is to Orthodox Branko and to Nick, hopefully, is how much faith do you put in, or how much providenia do you put into these physical signs? Is it someone grieving or someone in need that's looking for this, gratification, or do you take those signs as a sign of God?
No, definitely not. I don't take that as a sign of God. I'm sorry.
Would that be grace?
No.
It's just coincidence.
It might be. I don't think it's a sign from God.
Do you think it's more superstitious, so to speak?
It is superstition. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah.
It is superstition, and our people, especially the Orthodox people, are not. it's a wrong word to say educated, but but one of the things we are not really educated, but we don't go to church, we don't read the Bible, we don't, and in the Bible and in the church tradition with a capital T, not the small tradition like Badnyak and that kind of thing, we don't find things like that. We simply don't find things like that. We read signs and so on. We don't need that used to be in the Old Testament. Certain signs were sent to holy people, and you can find that in a vague way throughout the lives of the saints. But that is when they have come to that spiritual level where, we tend to. I'm struggling with my English now. Hoćemo da zaobiđemo. We want to walk around.
Yeah,
No, we want to walk. Yeah, we want to go away from the central part of the spiritual life, which is the Bible, the gospel, the liturgical life. And that's at the absolute center of the spiritual life. And we tend to go away from that or around in a way. But the point is, you can't skip it. You can't go around that. You got to go through that in order to come to that level where, yes, maybe, and there is examples, but they're very individual examples to certain individual saints that you can find in the lives of the saints where, certain natural events like this happened and they were able to discern in a way that, this sign is from this and from that. But because they had such an experience, they went through all these spiritual levels, then you can say, okay, this is trustworthy. This person really can come to that point where maybe he can read these signs. But I'm sorry, for general population, this is just pure superstition. Seeing the bird and flying here, flying there. It can mean something, but usually means nothing, and we read into it. I guess we read into it more than it's real.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
I mean, you can't not. I mean, you can't. Sometimes,
things that I've had happen, I'm going like,
guys, but we are especially sensitive when we go through times of suffering and pain, when someone whom we love dies or when someone is sick, and when we go through, terrible times in our life, losing job or this and that, sickness or, turmoils in life happen to us. And at that time, we're really sensitive, and then we try to escape in a way, and then we read into things that are not really there, Whereas that's why going to church and living the liturgical life gives us this basic thing. Like, it builds a system in our lives. When things go bad, you always know that you're going to fall on that system. I always quote James Clear from that book, Atomic Habits. You will not rise to the level of your goals. You'll fall down to the level of your system. Now, it's not your system, my system. It's the system of the church that we need to implement in our own lives. So that's the liturgical life, the sacraments of the church, fasting, every Sunday to church, receiving Holy Communion, holy sacraments of the church, prayer. That needs to be our system in life. Our life needs to be filled with prayer, with fasting, confession, receiving Holy Communion. And that, when you build that system in your life, when you implement that system in your life, whatever happens in your life, you're always going to fall on that system. And that system has been there for a very long time, and it will hold everything you've got in your life. It will be able to, it's so firm, it will be able to support you whatever you're going through. Now, I'm not talking about, because that system is not a system, it's the living Christ. He is the one who gives us this is beautiful. I think Stephen, you've been talking about that gospel about Samaritan. Is that right? Have you been interpreting the Good Samaritan story?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Do you remember from the Good Samaritan, from the story of a Good Samaritan, how Samaritan took
Samaritan woman at the well.
no,
Oh,
the
the-
Samaritan man. The Samaritan man.
How you said you represent Jesus.
Yes, that's right. The Good Samaritan
Yeah.
is Jesus. He helps the man who was left half dead on the road. But what he does with that half dead man, he pours oil and wine on his wounds and takes him to the inn. You remember that beautiful icon of the
Yeah.
Good Samaritan? The inn is actually the church.
Yeah, that's it.
And the Samaritan
Salvador got
gives,
that.
yes. And Bobby actually was talking. Yeah, Bobby was talking about that. He gives two silver coins to the innkeeper. Who is the innkeeper? On that icon, it's a priest. And he says, and I'll pay you whatever you spend more on that man. And the Samaritan man goes away. So that's Christ who goes away and leaves us at the inn. And he leaves the innkeeper to take care of us. And this is a beautiful picture of what the church is. The church is a place of healing. There's so many things I'm saying, but the point is really that we need to live the liturgical life of the. Once we do that, once we implement that in our own very personal private lives, you'll see the change, and you'll see what happens really. How you'll be then inspired to help, to do the work of charity, to do whatever. God will give you good thoughts, and I really believe God does give us a good thought. And he does inspire us, and then we start implementing. All of a sudden you feel you're strong and you can do this, whatever it is. And that's good.
Keep thinking of Job,
Mm-hmm.
the most holy of holiest man, did everything right.
But I heard,
God,
Continue
but
to-
did you,
hammered his family,
But-
he's killed, God allowing all these things to happen. It's a perfect lesson.
I heard that. I mean, have you read why he became? He was, I mean, I don't know if this is real. What I've heard was that the devil told God, he goes,
Yes,
Jacob,
that's
why
the
you say, yeah, okay.
That's the story.
The devil said to him,
says to God,
Yeah,
Job only
likes you.
Job only is so good and so holy because you give him everything.
Yeah.
Look, he's got a good house, he's got all this money, he's got all this
Mm.
land, he's got the best farms, he's got the
Yeah.
best family, he's got the best of everything. And that's the only reason he follows you. And God goes, no, that's not the only reason. It's because Job is a faithful and good person. And he goes, no. And he goes, all right, I'll prove it to you. So God allows the devil to attack him, and the devil attacks him, and attacks him good. His kids gone, his farm gone, everything gone. And that's when he sits down with his, and Job sits down and he goes, why is this all happening to Job? And he's there with his two mates. And it's an awesome discussion that they have, and they say certain things and whatever. It's back and forth, and then you find out at the end, God restores his life back together.
Even his wife, remember, tempted him to curse against God.
Yeah. But he was faithful.
Did he stay with his wife or left her and got another wife? I can't remember. Yeah.
No, his wife stayed. Lost the children, lost the farm, the family.
The kids came out in heaven. I think he actually gets double kids back.
I don't know
Yeah,
about that.
You got to replace.
I think it's different. Are there different interpretations?
Oh, maybe
in
how
the
they
text?
interpret it, but actually,
But that's,
because in the start of the book it says God's gonna whatever happens to
That's
Job,
like
God will repay him
double-
back the same
like
and double. Actually,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
So his kids that are dead are in heaven, but then when he goes to heaven, he gets replaced with other double the kids. So he's
Yeah.
got more kids in heaven.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like
If you
that.
read
I don't think it works like
I
that.
think the whole point really works
Because
like
Jesus
that,
will
it works.
say that in the kingdom of God they're neither marry or divorce. So I don't think there's going to be more kids in heaven.
Yeah, I think it was more a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was, just a lesson.
It's a lesson. I think it's a lesson. It's one of the narratives that are there to teach us a lesson. Yeah. All right. Anything else? I think it was good.
When you left the room, we were speaking about judging.
Oh, right.
That
We're
was-
very good at that.
So I was going to bring up, and it worked out well.
Gossip is our favorite sport, especially in the church.
We're talking about judging. What about where do we draw the line where if because we're talking about identity and identify as a Christian, cats and whatever, right? So we all identify as Christians here, and I keep sinning, and I mean, maybe it's a real bad sin. And Greg, my brother, picks it up and comes up to me and calls me out on my sin. What discernment do we have where I think Greg should be able to come up to me and call me out on it in the right way, of course, knowing that he comes from a good heart, not there to embarrass him in front of my other friends or because in the Bible, do not speak of other people's sins. Like I won't speak of Greg. If I see Greg sin, I'm not going to go around telling people what Greg did. That's a sin on my behalf. But I think we should be able to go up to each other as brothers and sisters in Christ and call each other out on our sin.
Yes, I think we should do that, and Christ himself says that. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him. If he doesn't listen to you, take the 2 or 3 witnesses so that the word stays. And if he doesn't listen to them, tell the church. If he doesn't listen to the church, let him be to you as a pagan. So, no, it's the Gospel of Matthew. So we are actually responsible for our own brother, and we need to take care of our, fellow Christians, fellow people, really, but with love.
Yeah.
We need not to, usually a woman says to a woman, a man says to a man, so it doesn't really go, depending what it is, and you don't spread, you don't gossip, but when something is being said out of pure love and with sensitivity and sensibility and I think that every person will recognize where I'm coming from. Am I coming from some sort of I don't know, bad background or whatever, or
it's a genuine worry,
or is it genuine? Correct. Yeah.
Help as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, usually you can't help. If someone is your friend, you're the only help is, just, maybe, how about you think about, and, that kind of way, because it's not your place to, after all, if I'm committing a sin, if I'm a sinner, I'm the one who needs to make this decision. But what you are doing is bringing awareness there. That this is something that's, on top, has crossed the line somehow, and now it's taking these, colossal scale where you really, you can't, this is now something that's a problem. It's not just your thing, whatever this is now a bad thing, really.
I think it's some things that we don't realize.
We realize in our hearts, but usually we think, it's nothing. We usually think, it's going to go on, it's going to pass, it's not big or whatever. We try to find, we try to justify ourselves, and we try to find excuses for ourselves. That's what usually happens. But when someone else is involved there, then you ask yourself the question, really, this is now, beyond what I was thinking. This is, the scale of what I'm doing is not really, this is something, this is really a problem now. If it comes from a good heart and from a good intention, from goodwill, I think you should, as I said, our favorite sport is gossiping, but, that we should abstain as much as we can from that, because, and there are people who are, the only thing they want to hear is, some good news so they can go around and tell the stories and so on.
I've got another question, and this is an example. So, for example, let's just say Julia speaks to her friend that speaks in tongues, and Julia comes in Bible studies, and she's like, my friend knows how to speak in tongues, and it's so beautiful, and it's I feel amazing when we do it, and it's so good. And if I just don't say nothing to her and go, Julia, I don't want to be rude to her. I want to be nice. I want to do the right thing. I don't want to be rude to her and not say nothing to me. How bad is that sin that I'm doing?
Is it a sin though?
I feel like it is. If I don't say something to Julia, but it's how you say it as well. I believe it's how I say it. Because again, if I pull up Julia now in front of everybody, I believe that's not really coming from my heart.
That's right.
And that's
yeah.
coming from a way that I want to embarrass her in front of everybody.
Yeah.
But if I pull Julia aside and it's just me and her, and honestly go, hey, Julia, look, I know you said this, I thought about it, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you should talk to Father Branco about it, or blah, 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 blah. I think that's
Yeah,
genuine.
I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would always say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
This is where I,
That's right. Yes.
That's it.
But please, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that the tongues? Blah 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 blah.
That's just
an example.
That's the first thing that we spoke about the last week.
We're still talking about it.
So I'm using that as an example, but there's many other things.
I was only
that we
joking.
can talk about.
I was only joking.
Yeah.
So when you mean tongues, what does that mean? Tongues?
Tongue, what is your tongue?
gibberish? And
I thought like languages, a lot of languages.
Language, but yeah, it's
It
lang.
in
It
the
is.
Bible when they spoke, they were speaking in tongues, but it was speaking
different
In a-
languages.
Yeah, that's right.
speaking a language
in
that
exist-
other
in
people
real-
hear in their
real-
language.
Proper
Right,
language.
understanding what's going on.
That's what I'm
Our
understanding.
church speaks in tongues all the time. We've got English, we've got Serbian.
Yeah.
Bible.
Yeah, that's what I said to these people. I said, that's proper tongues. I said, this other stuff.
Bible, when they spoke tongues, they speak
The
Yeah.
real languages, yeah.
Yeah.
in their language.
Yeah, that's
Isn't
right.
that speaking of tongues?
Absolutely.
You know, half the people
Stephen,
don't
you're an
understand it.
absolute legend. We speak tongues. We are the true Pentecostal
Some
church.
people understand it, some people don't. Some of the people
We have
understand
Slavonic,
English, some
we have
people
Greek, we have English, Serbian.
Maybe Hebrew.
If there are some Hebrew people.
The sort of.
Well, if there are some Greek or Hebrew
You do
speaking,
throw the Greek lines.
I do it.
Every morning service.
I do.
Sunday service.
Yes, because the liturgy is originally in Greek, and only for the sake of the original, I do it. Nothing
Well,
else.
that's Greek, English,
There
Serbian.
you go.
Have you noticed
Three.
the creed, the Macedonian, in the Macedonian one, it says, I bow to God, but in the Serbian, there's no bowing. Have we changed it?
No, it's just a different translation.
No, in the Macedonian translation, when you come to the end, he goes, "Mu se poklonujeme na Boga," like in the creed in the Macedonian. But in the Serbian English, there's no bowing.
There is.
Ours is-
Oh, that's just a local custom to
That's
bow
what I'm
down.
saying. That's
Because it speaks actually about the Holy Spirit. I v Duha Svjatago Gospoda životvorjašago, iže se od Oca ishodjašago, iže se Ocem Sinom spoklanjajmi i soslavim i glagolavšago proroki, which means in the Holy Spirit, the Lord, the giver of life, who proceeds from the Father, who with the Father and the Son is worshipped and glorified. And the word worship
so it's
is-
different transition.
is translated as poklanjajmi.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I got that.
Okay, worship, but
So prostrate.
yes,
that's
worship,
why I
process.
Which means the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Macedonian, they've left the old Slavic poklanjajmi,
Yeah.
which means I bow down, but it
Oh.
also means obožava,
Okay.
proslavlja. It doesn't.
Well, you
It
only
means
really
worship. Yeah.
prostrate to something that
Okay.
you worship.
That's why I got always a bit confused on that.
You prostrate before the king as well. Okay, that's why I think Serbian translation is much more accurate. We stopped using poklanja
Yeah.
in the Serbian translation. We just say obožava, which means worshipping, like giving Bog, obožava, meaning it's more accurate, I think, then because you can only worship God
That's right.
and you can venerate and give honor to others.
In karate, you bow down to the master.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
You
saying.
bow
Bowing down
down.
today is
You
different.
bow down to the teacher, you bow down to everyone.
Yeah.
The last person, you bow down to the master of the race, then
Yeah.
you bow down to the sensei that's teaching your class,
Yeah.
then you bow down to everyone.
That's from the.
And you bow down to King Charles the Third.
If you want to go do my class, so you don't want to bow.
There was one Muslim that says, I don't bow down to anyone but God or someone
I
like
love
that, and I think he's still past him in his grading. I heard
Oh,
there's
yeah,
one that
he's
said that I don't bow down.
And I respect that as well, because no Christian would ever say things like that. I respect that. Come on.
It's like Ex-Muslims are the best Christians.
You think
Yeah,
so?
Andrew Tate's a good example.
Well, if they're ex-Muslim, they've got faith, but they haven't got God.
Ex-Muslims are the best. Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
an ex-Muslim makes a
Okay.
good Christian.
Oh, makes a good Christian.
Yeah, but they've got faith, but they haven't got God. We're Christians, we have God, but we haven't got faith.
Mm.
That's that
Guys,
sort of
shall
thing.
we call it the night?
Yeah.
Good night.